Hey, welcome everybody. It's an early edition. We're on the right day. We're just a little bit early because we want to give out some candy because, we're kind grumpy old men.
That's exactly right.
We're not the ones that turn off our lights and pull down our shades.
Nope.
This early. It might happen at some point. At some point tonight, it might happen.
Before the teenagers come out in their pillowcases.
But it's time for Bollocks Talks and Tangents. And we got a category both of you and I love. We're talking about World Series. And we were going to do World Series last week. And I was like, no, we'll be right in the middle of the World Series. Let's do it next week.
How about them Dodgers?
And the World Series ended early.
Yep.
Because the Dodgers, I don't know if the Dodgers played that good or the Yankees just blew chunks.
For the most part.
They had a 5-run lead, made 3 errors. They counted it as 2, but they made 2 physical errors and a mental error, and it cost them the lead.
Those 5 runs were all unearned.
Oh, yeah. Completely unearned.
Yeah.
Derek Cole was cruising, and the MVP.
He was one of the reasons they,
he didn't cover first base.
Right, exactly.
So he didn't cover first base. I mean, but the first error was on Judge, and that was just lack of concentration.
Yep.
Hit him in the thumb. MVP.
Yep.
Hit a bomb earlier, and to give him
made a great catch before that.
Made a phenomenal catch on the warning track, and then they just blew chunks. They weren't supposed to win. Yeah. They weren't supposed to get number 28.
No, not this year anyway.
Yeah, and I know the reason. Blake knows the reason why they lost. Because every time I bet on the Yankees, they lost. All right. And the one game I didn't bet on them, they won. So it's entirely my fault, and I'll take 100% of the blame. For you Yankee fans out there, you got 27, so you'll be okay.
The interesting thing with this was that, perceptibly the best hitter, or one of the best hitters in baseball, was absolutely inconsequential after he slid in and screwed up his shoulder, separated his shoulder. Ohtani was just a non-entity for the entire series.
Yeah, and that happens, but you know what? He's going to get a ring just like everybody else.
Oh, yes, indeed.
And he's still going to win the MVP.
Yep. And you know what? I love his posture at the plate. Mm-hmm. It's so straight and upright. It's just, he's just there.
Yeah. Shane joined in and said, it's a great day. He's a Sox fan. The evil empire's been defeated.
Kaiser was saying the same thing. Yeah.
I don't know who was happier today, Red Sox fans or Dodger fans. Well, you're a Met fan. Mets, you don't. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this, but you're not a part of that rivalry.
No,
not at all. But
it's a cross town thing,
right?
But you know what? Your hatred.
I wouldn't go that strong.
Begun.
I wouldn't go that strong. There is some sympathy for the New York team, but the Dodgers were a New York team before they ran away from home.
That's why you're color blue.
Yep, exactly.
Actually, the extra part will say probably the most happiest people for the Dodgers World Series victory is Japan. They are.
Oh, I tell you what,
okay.
they outnumbered us in watching the World Series like 3-1. The U.S. against the Japanese
early in the morning too.
Yeah, so it's pretty wild. All right, well, we're talking about the World Series, but we got to talk about our sponsors.
Yes, indeed.
Hebert, Kresge and Associates, the best CPAs in town. Give them a call. Don't try and do your taxes on your own. If you're setting up a business, let them do it for you. Pay a little bit more, and you'll make a lot more. That should be their slogan. All right, Citygate Spirits, which we are drinking tonight.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Citygate Spirits, we are drinking the Mango Daddle Whiskey. And Lenny took it home and experimented.
The perks of the job.
And he came up with, and it's just 2 ingredients. This one, and then grapefruit juice.
Pineapple juice.
Okay, yeah. I don't like grapefruit juice. That's why I like this. That's a good thing. That's why I like this one.
That's why I didn't use it.
And pineapple juice. And I'm telling you, it's yummy. And then it has a little sting
from the daddle
that hits you at the end. So it's an excellent drink.
The mango comes first and is delicious, and then the daddle says, "Don't forget about me," and you can't.
It steps up and goes, "Yoo-hoo." Mm-hmm. All right. But excellent drink. Also, along with City Gates, we have St. Augustine Distilleries. We did their rum rum
really
reserve
nice.
Last week. It was
really
wonderful.
Nice.
#1 distillery in the United States, winning all kinds of awards that they deserve because they work so hard for it. And we have Pirate Museum. Pirate Museum has over 800 artifacts. Now, you've been to the Pirate Museum and taken your family there.
A number of times. It's a fun thing to do.
And you cannot read everything in one visit. We go back. Maeve and I will go back just to shoot off the cannons. Never shot off a cannon. It's a lot of fun. So the St. Augustine Pirate Museum, go down there, get a tour from Captain Mayhem. All right. Meehan's Irish Pub, best pub in town. I'm telling you right now, they have three bars in one. They have the inside, the pub itself. They got the backyard where they play live music. Great atmosphere, great bartenders back there. And then upstairs, they have Johnny's Oyster Bar and the best view on that deck pretty much in town. And
they will graciously welcome you in any costume this evening.
Yes, they will. And I love your costume today, grumpy old man.
Right.
And last but not least, Coquina Coast Realty. I do have some office space available. If you're looking for office space, if you're looking to sell your house, if you're looking to purchase a house, give me a call at 904-669-7901. And that is 904-669-7901. All right, we got word origins. We got our drinks. We didn't officially do a cheers. We did a little bit of taps. Let's do a
cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Absolutely.
Happy Halloween, Blakester.
Thank you.
And in case you're wondering why we're in the studio, we had a little sound issue over there with Lenny's mic. I think his New York got stuck in the cord. So, it happens.
It's me.
Yeah, your Long Beach got stuck in the cord.
That's right. We got normally the saying in Long Beach is there's Long Beach sand in my shoes. I guess some of that sand got in the mic cord.
Yeah, something got in there, that's for sure. And Kathy, hello out there. We are live. And Janelle, happy Halloween to you. All right, we're talking baseball. So word origin, I went with a word origin that was baseball related, and I'm assuming, knowing you and who you are, you did something very similar. Did you do a baseball word origin?
No, I did a Halloween word origin.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's do that. One, and then I'll roll into the baseball. Lenny is still, he's got the click ups over here. We don't know what you're doing.
There you go.
He wants the comments. And my phone's going to die at some point during this show.
All right. So, my word origin is jack-o'-lantern.
Okay.
So, jack-o'-lantern or a carved lantern.
Okay.
Started over in Ireland. And another term for it could be the ignis fatuus. IGNIS or foolish fire. That goes back to the 1660s in East England and Ireland. And the jack-o'-lantern it's a carved lantern, and it's got a couple of backstories and origin stories that are really sort of interesting. Because they didn't use pumpkins at first. It was either a gourd or turnip. They used to carve turnips. And then something that I'd never heard of before, it's a mangelwurzel.
Oh, the old mangelwurzel.
The mangelwurzel, which
everybody's heard of a mangelwurzel.
Yeah, it's a field beet.
Of course it is.
And it's ugly. And
who didn't know that?
Well, me.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of a mangelwurzel either.
So they would carve that first.
You practice on your mangelwurzel?
That's exactly right. So there were strange lights over the peat bogs that were, the will-o'-the-wisp, which was naturally occurring, firefly-ish and sparks and things that the will-o'-the-wisp. There was always the sort of the spooky, scary stuff on the bogs and on the peat bogs in there. But there was there was a gentleman by the name of Stingy Jack, and apparently he was quite a well-known drunkard who bargained with Satan. And
bargained with Satan.
Yeah, and that's never a good thing because he didn't win. He did not win his deal with Satan, so he was doomed to roam the earth.
And unless Satan tricked him, and his name was Louis Cypher.
Yeah, there you go.
Was that an angel heart?
That was.
I think it was Louis.
Was that with Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
with the voodoo and stuff.
Yep.
But Louis Cypher might have tricked him. Jack doesn't sound like a smart dude.
No, well, he was also drunk.
Well, you can be drunk and still smart.
True.
Sometimes I get smarter when
I was going to say, there's been cases it's worked to my advantage.
I drink and I know things.
That's exactly right.
Me and Tyrion.
Yeah.
And you.
And I'm taller than him. Right, exactly.
And there's not many people, both of us are taller.
That's true. In Tyrion, we win.
Yeah.
Mr. Peter Dinklage, terrific actor.
Yeah. What an actor.
But Satan doomed him to roam the earth, carrying a hollowed turnip with a light in it.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the jack part of jack-o'-lanterns came from in the lanterns. It goes back to the 1660s. But before that, part of it was night watchmen would walk around with a lantern. Now, they were working on the real lantern, not necessarily a hollowed out turnip or Wangle
not holding Jack's turnip.
Right, not a Wangle Warzer.
Okay.
But it showed up in the Oxford English Dictionary in 1837. A lantern carved from a turnip or a pumpkin was a jack-o'-lantern. And that's sort of the backstory on why kids carve pumpkins.
Okay.
I did have a great pair of them. My freshman year in college, I carved 2 pumpkins. I mean, I had a really big one, and it was a great devil's face.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the devil, and then I did a smaller one, and that was the devil's advocate. And they were kind of fun. Yeah, right. Yeah. I like carving a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah,
Toasting up the seeds.
I somehow my jack-o'-lanterns have vanished. I did the artificial ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I did some pretty ornate ones. I had a Superman one, and I had one with the Thomas the Train one still is in existence. I had a Dora the Explorer, and then I had a Ghost. And, I really tried to. It's one of the few things I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this.
There you go.
Blake, I mean, my jack-o'-lanterns were pretty solid, right?
Yeah, they were this year.
Yeah. Or the previous years. It was kind of weak. The ones I ordered from Amazon that I thought were hollow, they were actually made of foam.
Styrofoam, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, gosh. And I just never got motivated again once I...
And you got to have a dustbuster or a good vacuum, because if you start trying to carve that stuff from the inside or take that out, it's everywhere.
Yeah, no. It was not one that we were willing to do. So I kind of took a jack-o'-lantern sabbatical this year.
Okay.
We just drew on the outside of them. All right. My word origin, by the way, yours was a major league word origin.
Thank you very much.
I like that.
Yeah.
But my word origin is bush league.
Okay.
All right.
You know a little something about that.
So bush league is a reference to, like, that's a bush league play or something like that. That means it's an inferior play. It's not it's just kind of what they call the minor leagues.
Right.
All right. And the lower levels were the bush leagues. All right. And do you have any idea why they were called the bush leagues?
No.
All right. Believe it or not, it has to do with the fields being that bad. The fields, and a lot of people don't realize this. Minor league baseball was 3 times the size of what it is today. They have reduced minor league baseball by that much. Yeah. St. Augustine had a minor league baseball team. The Saints. DeLand had a minor league baseball team. Palatka had a minor league baseball team. DeLand's was the Red Hats. And I can't remember what Palatka's nickname was. I don't think it was the Panthers, but they played.
Was it the Palatka Potatoes?
They played over. No, they weren't the Tater Tots.
Hastings Spuds?
Yeah, they did not have a team.
All right.
Yeah, please stop helping. But they played in the park. They played in the park that's still there today at Azalea Park. And the coolest thing about Palatka's field, and DeLand plays almost on the same grounds where theirs were at. They just reversed the field. Like center field became home field, and they redid it. It's where Stetson Hatters play.
Okay.
All right. St. Augustine here played at Francis Field. And there was a coquina wall that went around that was donated by Freddie Francis. So if you say St. Francis Field, you're wrong. All right.
Right.
It was the outfield was donated by Freddie Francis, who was like a brother-in-law or something to Henry Flagler. And he donated just the wall, and that's why it was called Francis Field, after Freddie Francis, not after a saint.
Which in an exceedingly Catholic community like St. Augustine that would be your default suspicion.
Yeah.
But Henry Flagler had a pretty good baseball team for his staff at the hotel.
Well, Henry Flagler, if we're talking about St. Augustine baseball, you can't leave this out. Henry Flagler had 3 baseball teams. So he had 3 baseball teams, and Frank P. Thompson was the creator of the 3 baseball teams. He was the head porter at the Ponce Hotel. He was originally the head porter at the San Marco Hotel, where the Renaissance is now.
Which burnt down.
But Henry Flagler stayed there prior to building the Ponce. He met Frank. Frank was a great baseball player. Henry recruited Frank over to the Ponce and said, hey, I need you to gather up all the best Negro baseball players at the time. Yep. They were all black. They weren't necessarily all black. Some of them were Spanish descent, Cuban, and and the Cuban Giants out of New York was started by Frank P. Thompson here in St. Augustine, and that is because a lot of the players that were here also would go work at the Argyle during the summertime. Seasonal.
Yep.
And they would entertain the guests by playing double headers. And there was a stadium built about where Rick's Muffler is.
Okay, right.
Right. That was home plate. And it was built by a gentleman by the name of Albert Spalding.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. See, Blake, you ever heard of Spalding?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
They definitely make some good balls.
Not to be confused with a Spalding.
Yeah.
Double E.
Yeah, except for that one basketball in 2006 where was made of like a synthetic material and start injuring everyone's hands because of it.
Yeah, that was not good. The synthetic leather. But Albert Spalding was the best pitcher at the time in 1888.
Okay.
And he became friends with Flagler through his hotel at the Argyle. And Spalding came down and created about a 1,500 seat stadium right there on US 1, where Rick's Muffler is. Just if you know where Saragossa is, it's a block from our house. So,
minor league baseball is great, and it's a shame that it's contracted a little bit. But you can spend great afternoons and evenings for inexpensive ticket prices with great entertainment in minor league baseball. But there's one team that I am really trying to get tickets to one of these days, and it is a hard get. You familiar at all with the Savannah Bananas?
Yes. Blake and I have talked about it, and it's just one of those things where every time it's come around, we kind of miss it.
And believe me, you got to get into a lottery to be able to contest to get a ticket, and you still can.
Yeah.
And they started playing, now they play in a small home field in Savannah, but now they're playing Major League ballparks.
Yeah.
If you don't know who the Savannah Bananas are, you can find them online. It's like they're the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. They play against 2 or 3 teams. They
play real baseball.
Oh, yes, they do.
They have different rules,
right?
And if you win the inning, you that's when you get a run. Right. It's how many innings you win, not necessarily how many runs you score.
Right. And they're they dance. The umpire he dances. He does hula. I mean, he's calling balls and strikes.
And they have a time limit. And if you hit a foul ball into the stands, and someone catches it in the stands, they see you catch it in the stands, inning's over. They switch sides.
You're out.
Switch sides. No, you're just not out.
Right. Yeah.
They switch sides. Yeah. Inning's over.
So they play against a team called the Party Animals, and I think the Firemen, but I'm not sure of the second one. It's definitely the Party Animals.
I didn't know there was a second team.
Yeah, there's 2 of them that tour with them, and guys will do backflips. They'll do a backflip to catch the ball.
Yeah.
They do tricks. There's a guy that plays on stilts. It's amazingly entertaining. It really is. It's wonderful.
They'll have celebrity ball players come out there too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they had the Spaceman, Bill
Lee
come out and pitch with them. And,
okay.
I think they've had some professional wrestlers out there, and a lot of old timers. I think Johnny Damon played.
Okay.
Speaking of the Red Sox Yankees rivalry there.
Right. Well, he must be confused. Poor Johnny Damon.
No, I don't think he can go back to Boston.
Oof. Not after he left.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So all right, we're talking World Series. And Lenny, I know you're a Mets fan.
I am. What gave it away?
You're a Mets fan. I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan.
Well, yep.
Cincinnati Reds. We have 5 World Series.
Yeah.
That's right, Blake? 5?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
We got 2.
You guys have 2.
2.
And I remember one of yours, but I was too young. I was alive for both of yours.
Mm-hmm.
I was alive for 3 of the Cincinnati Reds. So my question to you is the first World Series you remember as a child.
69.
Was that the first one you remember? The year you guys, the Miracle Mets?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And that was,
who was your favorite player on that team?
Back then it was probably Ed Kranepool.
Okay.
And it might have been Tom Seaver, but Ed Kranepool, because my sister's 10 years older than me, had a crush on Ed Kranepool forever. Ed Kranepool, the original bonus baby.
Mm-hmm.
He signed out of high school. He was, he was 17, 18. He got the first big check as what was called a bonus baby back then.
Mm-hmm.
Got a big check, and he played for the Mets forever. He stayed with the Mets. first baseman. He played until he was old, and he sadly passed away 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2 months ago he passed away. He had kidney problems, but yeah, he passed away 2 months ago. And he was great. Number 7, Ed Kranepool. Big Cleon Jones. Appreciate the shoe polish.
Mhm.
That was fun. And Tom Seaver. How can you go wrong with Tom Seaver? But this is back when actually they played baseball during the day. The World Series had day games.
Yeah.
You know, so that's when, you know, I had a little transistor radio the size of a deck of cards, and it had what would be a corded earplug. It wasn't two of them. It was just one.
Mhm.
Plug that in, and you snake the thing in. You put the little ear thing in, and you're sitting in your classroom, and you're listening to the baseball game, and you have no idea what that lesson was that day.
Okay. They didn't let you off?
Nope.
Even in New York?
Nope.
That is
Nope.
not right.
Nope. Got home before the game was over.
Okay.
Yeah, because I walked to school. I was only a couple blocks away from the school, so I was able to get home before the game was over.
And the snow uphill?
Both ways. Both ways. But that was wonderful. That was it. That was all the stars aligned for the Mets that year.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The Black Cat, Leo DeRocha, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
So that was your first one. And
Hey, Jeffy.
yeah, I remember, my first one I remember watching start to finish was the 75 World Series. And I was like 7, 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 8 years old. And that was probably, I don't think I've seen a greater one. Now, I do remember a couple of incidents from the Oakland A's World Series, them beating the Reds, the one World Series. I remember that and being sad about it, but I didn't watch that one start to finish. I watched the 75 World Series start to finish.
How did you become a Reds fan?
The game of the week in the 70s, you either had the Oakland A's or you had the Cincinnati Reds every Saturday. We only got one game a week.
Big Red Machine,
and it was before cable. And the 70s, those were if you were just starting to get into baseball, you were pretty much a Reds fan, or unless you lived
in a major market.
Okay. And then you stuck to your geographical.
Right.
That was before there was the Superstation.
Right. TBS.
And when the Superstation came in and WGN came in, I started liking the Braves and the Cubs a little bit. But I was already a big Red Machine guy. I was a leadoff guy, so I kind of associated myself with Pete Rose, made sure I was the guy who worked a little harder. But I was always a Johnny Bench guy.
I think I made a mention this to you. I caught something with Pete Rose was talking hitting with Alex Rodriguez.
And he blew their mind.
And it might have been Derek Jeter. And to listen to him talk,
it was
brilliant.
It wasn't Jeter, but it was another great hitter.
Yeah. And he was in the studio and he was just explaining, and everything he said made perfect sense. If the guy's throwing this, go further back in the batter's box. If you're not getting it, go up to the front of the batter's box, move in toward the plate, choke up on the bat. He had an answer for everything, which explained why he's probably one of the best, if not the best hitter ever to play baseball.
He used the big bat. He used the 35-inch bat for a leadoff guy. That's pretty rare. I mean, usually, the average bat's 34, 35 on the heavy side and a big bat. And he used the big bat, and he said he would adjust the bat to the pitcher. He would adjust where he stood in the strike zone. If he was a little ahead, he'd back up a step. He'd step away if he didn't jam. Yep. He said, "You never changed your swing.
Just where you are.
Your swing was what your swing was, but you could change where your hands were on the bat, just like you do on a golf club, which makes complete sense. And I taught a lot of when I was a baseball coach, and if there's any of my players out there listening, they know I do this. I taught a lot of motor memory stuff.
Okay,
just keep doing it. You know it's right. Keep doing it and get in the right position. And if you think about it, when you play golf, that's total motor memory.
Yeah, repetition is the best thing for golf.
And if you want to hit a little bit lower, you kind of play it a little back in your stance, and you want to get a little more loft, but you're still the same. The swing doesn't change.
Right.
You want some distance. You play from the bottom of the club. You want to take a little distance off your 7-iron. You play down. And that's exactly what Pete was talking about.
He was brilliant.
And I related that to, that's golf. And, I think another thing people Joe Morgan, who was the MVP in 75 and 76 during the season, he used to always flap his arm. And people were like, oh, that's because they was telling him to keep his elbow up. That's not true. Your power comes when your elbows are down. Like if you, and I associate this with throwing a punch. You don't throw a punch like this.
Right.
You throw a punch if you have any power with your elbows down, and that's where you have the most strength. And that's the same in baseball. That's the same in golf. Your elbows aren't out when you're swinging a golf club. They're tight to your body. And in baseball, you have to have that. You have to have be the most efficient with every swing. I don't like the way baseball is being played right now. I think the home run, the glamour of the home run has stolen the game a little bit.
Yeah.
I like the speed of the game again. The stolen bases are now becoming a factor again.
And
because they went away for a little bit.
Right. And now, but changing the rules now, you throw over twice, you look at first base, the guy gets second now.
Yeah.
Happened last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you don't get them on that one, then and I like the speed up rule on the pitcher.
Yeah, that seems to be working out fairly well, actually. Because I used to remember, there was a point in time where baseball games were, 2 hours and 40 minutes, and then they started getting to 3:15, 3:20, and it became tedious.
Yeah.
And they got them back under 3 hours.
Well, and
finally.
it wasn't just the pitcher, it was the batters.
Yeah, it's stepping
out. It
right.
was, the Nomar Garcia pair, human rain delay.
Yeah, checking gloves, pulling the Velcro off.
Went through the whole routine, scratch your left one twice.
Right,
all of those things, and I'm glad they got it under control. And I think baseball is more entertaining to watch again.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the singles have been taken out of the game. Vince Coleman doesn't make it to the major leagues right now.
Okay.
Tim Raines might have a little bit of trouble, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
But I know Rock could hit for power if he wanted to. But
he ran right through a wall.
But there's guys like defensive guys like Tim Foley who played for the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
He never would have made it he probably wouldn't have played at a major college. He choked up on the bat 8 inches and he hit the ball about 140 feet if he got a hold of it. If he got a hold of it, good.
Slap it.
I couldn't play at the level I played at under today's guys. I mean, I probably would have to make the adjustment, but because I was a slapper on steal bases and aggravate the hell out of everybody.
But that's part of the game too. If you can you can smack it on and get in. But now with there's no shift. Mm-hmm. You got to stay on your side of the field. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago when Manny Machado went from the Orioles to the Padres, and I would sit there and watch him. And I like Manny Machado. I think he's a hell of a ball player. Mm-hmm. But I would watch him go from third base. Batter came up. He would be standing next to the second baseman on the other side of the bag, over on the first base side of the bag. Well,
Ted Williams, they did that to him. Is basically the last part of his career, and he never hit the ball the other way. He's just like, screw it, I'll still hit 400.
Yeah. But you got to figure. I mean, because every kid I know, and I'm sure you did this too. When you're playing softball, you're playing baseball, and it's the whole thing. You want to move. You want to put the ball to the other side of the field. You sort of turn your feet and you aim in a different direction. So I don't understand how if the third base side of the field is vacant, how major league ball players can't adjust to put the ball that way. Pete Rose could.
90 miles an hour is...
I'm not standing next to that thing. Oh, no.
90 miles an hour makes it a little more challenging than that. But I can tell you this. You can bunt.
Yeah.
Anybody can bunt.
Yeah.
And that's... But their egos don't let them do that. One of the guys that I really enjoyed watching during the World Series was the first baseman, Rizzo. And here's a guy, he's been hit more than any other active player in Major League Baseball.
Where's Ron Swoboda and Don Baylor when you need them?
Yeah, but what he did, and I don't know if you noticed, if you watch Rizzo, and this is why I love, there's so many little things that happen in baseball if you know what to look for.
Oh yeah,
Rizzo, when he got 2 strikes on him, he crowded the plate and choked up. Anything inside, he didn't get out of the way.
Right.
I mean, that's an old school guy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If I had 2 strikes on me and you threw it anywhere near the inside, I leaned in. Of course, my shirt never fit, so I got a lot. I could catch a lot in my shirt, and if you get hit in the shirt, it counts as you being hit.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, if I could time that one,
never tucked that sucker in, did you?
No, he was always flapping. It was always flappy and out there and hanging out. And if I could catch it in there and not actually have to take the bruise and still get on base, it was a beautiful thing. So Blake, if you would look up active players who's been hit by pitches, because I'm pretty sure Rizzo is like way ahead of everybody else.
I do think Rizzo's number 1, but let me double check on that.
Yeah, I'd like to see who's next to him. I think he's been hit like over 200 times in his career.
I was going to say there was somebody on the Cubs, but he was on the Cubs.
Yeah, he was.
So that's
on
where
the
he came
Cubs,
from, right? He came from the Cubs. You know, as we were doing this, I really got a very warm and fuzzy feeling. You know, because there's
not me. My hands are here.
There's 3 words that are just wonderful. World Series history.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this stuff we're going to talk about, or we're talking about, is happened in World Series history.
So okay, so active right now it is Anthony Rizzo with 222.
Mm-hmm.
Most all time, it's
Baylor.
Don Baylor.
Huey Jennings 287.
And when did he play?
Huey Jennings, let's see. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Where's Don Baylor on that list? Did you see it?
18 from like his last season was like in 1918.
Way to take one for the team, Huey.
Yeah, we was in the softball era.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like from like 1891 to 1918.
Okay.
And I forget, it was
good
either
long career.
But actually Calvin Biggio was number 2 at 285.
Ron Hunt or Ron Swoboda. I forget which. It might have been Ron Hunt.
Mm-hmm. Where was Don Baylor on that list?
Don Baylor?
Yeah.
It's got to be up there.
Yeah, he would lean into some of the best ones too.
Yeah.
Any curveball you threw
too. Yeah.
Curveball. You didn't want him to charge him.
He hit the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, the ball said ouch.
Don Baylor is number 4 at 267.
Okay. All right.
Rizzo's at number 8.
Cool.
There's at 8.
Yeah,
okay.
no, but I love that. I love that still exists.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you know, when these guys go down and they get hit and it's like, oh, and then they're rubbing it like a soccer player.
Right.
I just want to, you know. Sorry for all you soccer players that are out there watching, but
there's a lot of
Derek, if you're catching this, you know what I'm talking about.
All right, so
it's the only sport the women are tougher than the men.
Fun fact, speaking about World Series and hit by pitchers, there have been only 3 times. So actually the most that person has been hit in the World Series has been 3 times. A-Rod, Mark Teixeira of the Yankees did in 2009, and M. Carey in 1925.
I was going to say, who the hell?
Right, exactly. Another one.
Max Carey for the Pirates in 1925.
Right.
Okay. Well, he's reading it right off the computer.
He's a savant, your son. I know that.
No, he's good with the baseball stuff.
Hi, Pam.
All right, so we gotta get into some baseball. So your first World Series was '69. Blake, what was when's the first one you remember?
The first one I remember is probably 2006 with Albert Pujols.
Okay.
Albert Pujols, yeah.
Okay. All right.
We got him in here.
So you're only like 5 when you remember. That's pretty solid. Mm-hmm. I don't remember much when I'm 5.
All right. I'm going to start with the 1920 World Series.
Okay.
Because
it's a 9-game series. And
it goes into a lot of different directions, and there's a lot of World Series history involved in this game.
Okay.
And a personal connection for me.
I have 1919.
Okay.
So you have 1920.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep. You want to do 1919 first? 1920 is fun.
Okay, 1919 changed a lot in baseball.
Oh, yes, it did. So, and movies.
Yeah. 1919 was the Black Sox scandal. Yep. It was the first World Series Cincinnati Reds won. Mm-hmm. All right. It was at that time, it was a 9-game series. And after 21, they changed it to 7 games. And it wasn't always 7 games. It was only like for 4 or 5 World Series. It was a 9-game series. It was a best of 9. And in that World Series, the White Sox lost the Cincinnati Reds 5-3. And that's the World Series where the White Sox were playing under horrible conditions. Was it Kaminsky that was the owner? That was just horrible conditions. That wasn't taken care of. They didn't have hot showers. You know, they didn't have a lot of the other amenities, other major, and they were the best team, by far in the American League. They were supposed to sweep the Reds and win the World Series, but 8 of the White Sox players met with was it Lucky Luciano?
No, I'm going to recognize the name when you say it. The gambler who was it wasn't Luciano. Yeah. I don't believe so. Blake, who was the? It was. I thought it was somebody with an A.
Google it real quick.
Yeah, it was.
But they met with the gambler. One of them being Shoeless Joe Jackson. I believe the best pitcher was Eddie.
Somebody?
Shukanti. Oh, his name started with a C. Eddie pitched 3 of the World Series games in that World Series.
Do you still count the World Series though, Dad?
Huh?
Do you still count it though?
Oh, hell yeah. The Cincinnati Reds won.
And there you have it.
Yeah, it's not the Reds' fault they're a bunch of cheaters. The Reds weren't in on it.
Right.
So, but Eddie.
So let's see.
Eddie pitched 3 of the 8 games. He won 2, lost, or he won 1, lost 2. All right. One of the games they lost 2-0.
Arnold Rothstein?
Might have been. Might have been. Yeah. Cousin Arnold.
Sorry.
And Shoeless Joe Jackson hit the only home run during the World Series, and he hit over 300 during the World Series. Now, Shohei didn't hit over 300.
No, Shohei
and
didn't
Judge
hit.
didn't hit over 300.
Nope.
You know, so
Judge woke up late. He was quiet at the beginning of the series
and
until
then he dropped
that home run.
dropped
He had a
the
couple
ball.
others, but yeah,
he dropped the ball.
literally.
Yeah. But, I mean, that World Series changed baseball and how people looked at baseball. Baseball was very corrupt. They brought in Kennesaw Mountain Landis, and, you know, he cleaned up the game, and then baseball was saved by some round-faced kid from Baltimore. He played in Boston. He got traded.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh, we got a stat on him too, by the way.
Yeah.
We got a World Series stat on him.
Yeah.
We got 2 of them actually.
You know where his baseball school was? Azalea Park. In Palaca.
All right. Okay.
In Palaca. That field I
Wow.
was talking about.
Right.
That where the minor league team was.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing about that field, I don't think I finished it, is they don't have a fence in the outfield. They do now, but they
Right.
didn't.
Yeah.
They have berms.
Yeah.
All right. And I believe it was my first inside the park home run. They have a tunnel
baby.
in center field. And I burnt the center fielder, and the ball rolled into the tunnel. And it's live. So he had to run into the tunnel, get the ball, run back out of the tunnel, and I had to stand up inside the park.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
and the other funny thing, I was coaching American Legion baseball at that park, and my left fielder came running in, and a water moccasin had joined him in left field coming down.
Wow. He's going. I'm going to play a little bit over here. I'm shifting, coach. I'm shifting.
He was yelling, "Coach!" And it was so big we could actually see it on the berm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be playing there either.
From the dugout.
Oh,
So,
baby. Bat. May I have a bat, please? Right.
I think that's the only. I used to do play-by-play radio for WFOY back in like the early '90s, and it was a playoff game, and the coach at St. Augustine High was my pitching coach for my summer league team, and you've never seen me in a super competitive situation, so my temper's pretty bad, and I'm doing the play-by-play for St. Augustine High, but the head coach Jeff Holland was my pitching coach, so him and I were really close friends, and he's head coach of the Yellow Jackets, and the umpire over there ends the game on a horrible call. I'm sitting right over top of him, and I was asked to leave the ballpark from the radio booth.
Very Brockmeyer of you.
Yeah.
Very Brockmeyer of you.
Yeah.
Have you ever
So-
watched that? You really have to watch Brockmeyer.
Okay.
At least the first season.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
All right.
It's Hank Azaria playing a sportscaster who he's the play-by-play for the Kansas City Royals, I believe. And he gets drunk and goes off on a live game, and then the rest of it just follows him because he comes back to baseball by being a broadcaster for a minor league team in somewhere in Pennsylvania. I don't know if it's Pittsburgh, where he gets off the bus and he's standing there and he looks, and because they're doing all the fracking around there, that the ground is on fire. But it's Hank Azaria. It is brilliant. You will enjoy it. The second 2 seasons get a little bit wacky, but the first season is just great.
Most famous Kansas City Royal play-by-play person. Radio.
Rush Limbaugh.
Oh,
There you
Blake,
go.
you gave it away.
Yeah, I wasn't getting that.
Yeah. Rush and George Brett were, I think George Brett was best man at Rush Limbaugh's wedding.
And George Brett is in Brockmeyer.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to 1920.
1920.
Because there's a bunch of stuff that happened there. It was the Cleveland Indians versus the Brooklyn Robins.
Okay.
in Game 5, the second baseman by the name of Bill Wamskans was the
Billy.
Bill Wamskans, second baseman, was the grandfather of a woman who I dated and lived with for 5 years, Mary Wamby, made the first unassisted triple play, the only unassisted triple play in World Series history, not the first.
Mm-hmm.
Only
Well, it was the first.
No, in World Series history, yeah, in World Series history.
And it's the last.
But not the, so far.
Yeah.
But not the first unassisted triple play.
Yeah.
Do you know the Cleveland franchise has had 3 unassisted triple plays?
Mm-hmm.
They had one by, I got him over here. The Cleveland Naps, which was named after Napoleon Lajoie, Nap Lajoie. He was a great ball player. He bought the team.
It's Nap Lajoie, isn't it?
Yeah, Lajoie.
Blake, isn't it Nap Lajoie? Do you know how to say it?
Yeah.
Nap Lajoie.
Yeah.
Okay, I always thought it was Nap Lajoie.
Yeah.
Not Lajoie.
No, why? Right. Well,
Lajoie.
I got an accent.
Okay. All right.
So
Have I been saying it wrong all this one?
Maybe so. I have.
Maybe you have. I don't know.
But they took a vote and they just asked to name the team and they named them the Naps in his honor.
Oh, okay.
The Naps, right? Okay.
Hold on. Let's see. I got the article up right here.
Yes. Check the enunciation.
Lajoie.
Yeah.
Might be an IE. So then in 1920 it was Bill Wamskans. In 1919.
Oh, I got it right here. Lazoie.
No, we're not looking for that one. We're looking for Lajoie.
That was it.
That's it.
Lajoie is the way you say it.
Lazoie.
I am 50. I'm going on 58 years old, and I've been saying it wrong.
Here.
Okay. Well, at least you know who he is, because half the world doesn't know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
But in 1909, Neil Bell on the Naps.
Here, I got to see it.
He made the first in Major League Baseball was the first unassisted triple play.
I'm baffled right now.
Mark the date, Blake. Mark the date.
Okay.
Stick with me. I'm not going to steer you wrong, my brother.
All right, but the race car driver spells it the same way as Randy Lajoie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but where's he from?
Huh? He's a grandson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Go figure.
And Corey and Casey are also NASCAR drivers. And they're related to Nap.
Okay.
Bill.
Right.
Wow.
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 Napoleon.
Yeah.
Bill Wamskans.
Nap.
Napoleon.
Nap.
Napoleon Lajoie.
Nap Lajoie. Yeah. I love this show so much.
The things we learn.
I would have lost $1,000 bet that I was saying it right.
Didn't we make that bet?
No, we didn't. Thank goodness. Damn it. Thank goodness we didn't.
Oh, well, that's all right. I wouldn't take your money anyway.
But it clearly showed the enunciation.
But here's the deal.
It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
Exactly. So 1909, Neil Ball makes the first unassisted triple play in Major League history.
Neil Ball.
All
right.
Okay.
Played against a guy named Harry Ball.
Yeah. And his brother.
No, he was the second baseman for Rollins College. No, he was the second baseman for Rollins College, and the guy could play. The guy was a hitter. I don't know why his parents named him that, but he hit third in the Rollins Tars. That was their nickname, the Tars.
Oh,
and the guy could play. Harry Ball.
So in 1920 in the World Series on October 10th, Bill Wamskans makes an unassisted triple play.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Cleveland Guardians in 2008.
Indians.
Guardians.
No, they were the Indians.
This was saying the Guardians.
No, they were not the Guardians. They were the Indians, and they're saying that to be politically correct.
No, it was Wamskins was the all right, maybe, because they changed it, and it was where I looked it up. It was the 3 of them, and they had it down as the Naps, the Indians, and the Guardians. And that was Asdrubal Carrera. And that was in 2008. So, yeah, it wasn't. You're teaching
me
I
baseball
know what you're
facts.
saying.
So they reused the name Guardians
to
be politically correct away from the Indians.
I guess because it was 5/12. It was May.
I need some fact checking again.
It was May 12th, 2008. Asdrubal Carrera made an unassisted triple play. So Cleveland's had the Cleveland franchise, who have changed names weekly, have had 3 of them. There's been 15 unassisted triple plays in Major League history.
Should have been the Spiders.
They were not the Guardians in 2008.
No, they weren't. No.
Okay.
They've only been the Guardians, 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Cleveland's got 3 of them, of the 15 unassisted triple plays in Major League history.
Mm-hmm.
All the exact same play. all by the exact
Short-
same position.
Shortstop,
Second baseman.
second baseman.
Second
Okay.
baseman. Catches a line drive, steps on the bag.
And
Runners coming either on a hit and run or a hit and run or a what else? Why he'd be moving fast? But and they tag the runner,
3-2 count.
and that's it. And that's the exact every one of the 15 has been the same play by a second baseman.
Yeah, let's see. So 8 were shortstops, 5 were second basemen, and then Cleveland franchise is the only one that have 3 players.
Right.
So 8 were shortstops.
Yeah, but the site that I had, they had all second basemen.
Yeah,
So
the most.
Yeah.
The most
I think I've seen. Did Bill Russell have one?
because it's tougher
Bill
for
Russell.
it's tougher for a shortstop because you got to cross
he
the
was
bag.
he was a shortstop for the Dodgers.
okay, I was thinking
He was very tall.
Yeah,
He was very tall.
that was the Celtics.
Oh,
That was the
the
Celtic.
other Bill Russell.
That was the Celtic
Okay,
guy.
all right.
Let's see, Bill.
Now, not done with 1920, however.
Uh-huh.
It was the first world. It was the Jim Bigby was the first home run by a pitcher in a World Series.
Mm-hmm.
He had a home run in that game. So I'm telling you, and it was also the game with the first World Series Grand Slam was in that World
Okay.
Series.
For some reason, I thought in 16 Ruth hit a home run, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Well,
When he was with the Red Sox.
let's bring it back to Babe Ruth.
Okay. Or in 18.
So, I got it around here somewhere. Babe
There's
Ruth.
Ruth. I saw Ruth down there.
Okay.
Yeah, I accidentally look at after a Baby Ruth.
Well, yeah, that was not named after him, by the way. And O. Henry was not named after Henry Aaron.
But Reggie was named after Reggie.
It was, and there was a Ken Griffey Jr. milk chocolate bar, which he couldn't eat because he was allergic to chocolate. The poor kid.
Yeah.
Seriously.
The kid.
Yeah, Junior. Yeah.
The kid.
Junior couldn't eat his own chocolate
His
bar.
nickname was the kid.
I know.
Okay.
Great. I got you want a rookie card? I got
The
a
kid.
lot. I got a lot of Ken Jr. Cookie upper deck rookie cards.
Yeah.
Got a lot of them.
I think we got a handful of those.
So in 1926 in the World Series, the Yankees are down 3-2. Babe Ruth walks off of Grover Cleveland Alexander. 2 outs. The big boy tries to steal second. You don't make it.
Uh-oh.
The only time a game in the World Series has ended with a caught stealing. And it was Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Thrown out to end the game on a caught stealing.
So end of the game or end of the series?
I don't know if it ended
I
the
think the
series,
Yankees
but
won
ended
in
the game.
26. So no, it
So
couldn't
it ended
have
the
been in the
game,
series.
right? Only World Series game to end on a caught stealing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, fun stuff.
All right. I can't go without talking about the 1975 World Series.
Must have involved a team from the Midwest.
It was the Cincinnati Reds and the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
Tiant shut down.
Louis.
And just a wonderful, wonderful man. All of us have met him.
Absolutely.
And
What a privilege that was.
His son Dan.
Also a wonderful person.
Just wonderful family. But Tiant shut down the Reds in Game 1. But the greatest game of my lifetime took place Game 6, and I think of a lot of people's lifetime. Game 6 of that World Series. When extra innings and Carlton Fisk hit the famous home run where he's waving it fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
I just watched that highlight the other day while we were doing my research.
You were probably working in a restaurant or something like that and missed the game?
No, 75 I was a junior in high school.
Okay. So, well, you could have been working at a restaurant in junior high school.
Paper routes, yeah, no.
Paper routes? Okay.
Different gig then.
Blake, where were you in
I was
75?
caddying, as a matter of fact.
I have no idea.
That's
You were
that explains
just
a
being
lot, right?
reincarnated.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I think I might have been like some woman in like Montana before she died. Then there lives something else.
All right.
Yeah.
A suffragette. Good for you.
And Blake, you got to
Might have
help us on
Wyoming.
time because we are a little bit early, and I'm not sure exactly
Right.
what time we
Still
started.
got 10 minutes left.
Nice.
All right. Well, I thought so, and we got to go over our sponsors.
I would.
Wait,
Okay.
didn't we already do sponsors again?
Not for the second time.
Just once.
Really?
Yeah, not for the second time.
They're wonderful. We support them.
Abear Kresge and Associates, best CPAs in town. I'll do it really quick just in case you're correct. Citygate Spirits, wonderful with pineapple.
Delicious.
with
Delicious,
pineapple.
yep.
We're using the mango daddle whiskey from Citygate. Amazing drink. And also St. Augustine Distillery. The Saint's one of the best bourbons out there. And
the new rum is really
the new rum
good.
reserve is amazing. Pirate Museum and the Oak, Colonial Oak. Thank you so much, Cindy, and your incredible team. We appreciate you guys. Miha and Reggie over there. Wonderful. They're about to go into the busy season. Get down there to Miha.
Before it gets wacky.
They have the best food in town. And Coquina Coast Realty, 904-669-7901.
And our handsome producer and I had lunch at Kaiser's today.
Kaiser's,
and it was delicious.
there you go. And did you do the White Street, Blake?
Yes, I did.
What did you go with?
I made myself a turkey with Havarti with hot peppers and a little daddle Russian and pressed it on a ciabatta, and it was tasty.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm texting my partner who's over there. We got somebody moving into one of our apartments.
Oh, good.
That's why you call Coquina Coast Realty. And he's doing some finishing touches before they move in tomorrow.
Okay.
But this is the part where you're supposed to fill in.
Well,
Lenny.
I am. All right. So you're throwing it to me. So
I'm trying to get you to cover, and you actually got quieter.
All right. Well, I'm thinking about things. I was thinking about a sandwich. I really enjoyed it, so I was back to lunch. All right. So
put the camera on him, Blake. Am I producing the show too?
3 home run games. 3 home run games in the World Series. Everybody knows Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. Oh my goodness. October 18th, 1977. 3 home runs, 5 RBIs. The man was 3 at-bats, 4 runs scored. I still haven't figured that out. I guess I must have walked him. 3 hits, 5 RBI. 4th inning off of Bert Hooton with 1 on. 5th inning off of Elias Sosa with 1 on. 8th inning off of Charlie Huff with a solo shot. But 2 other players have done that as well. Albert Pujols in 2011. There you go, Blake. And Babe Ruth. The 3 of them all had 3 home runs in a game. Pujols also had 4 hits in 4 consecutive innings. He tied a bunch of other people with that. And 6 RBIs in a World Series game. Bobby Richardson and Hideki Matsui for the Yankees.
Hideki Matsui.
Godzilla.
Could be one of the most underrated,
I believe so,
superstars.
Yep.
Out there.
And a great nickname for a ball player is Godzilla. Godzilla.
You know, and Ichiro, I would have loved it if Ichiro would have been here the entire time.
Yeah.
Because I feel Ichiro is another one when we talk about greatness. He never got to play in the World Series.
Nope.
Matsui did. You know, we talk about greatness. Ichiro, to me, could compete with Bonds as the greatest player of all time. And I know people are very upset with me making that statement, but the numbers do not lie.
And they're totally different ball players.
Yeah.
You know, Bonds was power and home runs, and Ichiro just hit the cover off of the ball anywhere in the stadium he wanted. And he didn't hit home. I don't know. I don't think he hit a whole lot of home runs.
He hit home runs when he wanted to.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this, if you watched Ichiro during batting practice, in today's game, he probably hit 20 points less, and he'd probably hit 30 home runs. Yeah. He had that ability to do it.
We got that short porch in left field and right field in the Yankee Stadium.
Tony Gwynn, Ichiro. Yeah, Ichiro was in Seattle. It was.
No, I know, but I'm saying if he played in, you know.
Tony Gwynn's another guy who could hit home runs when he needed to. He saw it as an art form. Wade Boggs, a guy who could hit home runs when he needed to. He saw it as an art. Pete Rose.
Yeah.
I remember watching a game of the week where Pete Rose hit 3 home runs in one game.
Really?
Yeah. That was on a Saturday. I think he only hit 15 all year.
Okay.
And he hit 3 in one game.
Just loaded up in that game.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, it's a different game than when I was growing up. Yeah. I think the stats. People are more concerned about the velocity of it leaving the bat than they are where it lands. And I think Willie Keeler is the one who said, "Hit it where they ain't."
Yep.
You know, the guy who never would have made it to the major leagues today.
Well, that's it. Exit velocity. What's the exit velocity? What's the distance? What's the angle? What was the height of the pit? It's like they analyzed the daylights out of it. The ball got out of the park. You got to run. You got more men on base. You got more runs.
Yeah.
We overanalyze everything in sports today.
Mm-hmm.
You watch a football game nowadays, and they go to the next gen stats, and they show you he ran 29 miles an hour, and they show you, with a lighted cursor the path he took on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's your World Series moment? Like mine was that home run, even though my team lost because of it, was a home run by Carlton Fisk. My guy, Johnny Bench, the next year swept the Yankees. Mm-hmm. Probably the most fun I had watching the World Series, watching the Yankees get crushed by Johnny Bench. He hit over 500 in that World Series and hit several home runs. There's the coach goes out and is talking to him and just goes, can't get this guy out. Because it's one of those first times that the coaches were mic'd up. Right. It was the two great catchers, Thurman Munson against Johnny Bench. Yeah. And, the year before, Carlton Fisk, who a lot of people put in that same category, but I'll tell you the truth. Carlton was great. He was a great ball player. But in the 70s, it was Johnny Bench and Thurman. Mm-hmm. And Carlton was the next level down. Gary Carter was a little bit after them, but he was the next level down. But what's your moment that you remember? Now, your Mets won in '86, and that's an amazing moment. And a horrible. Sorry, Shane, if you're still watching that I'm even bringing this up.
Yeah. Sorry, Kaiser.
Yeah.
'86. The machinations that set that up. They didn't pull Buckner for the defensive replacement, which they normally would do in every game. They left Buckner in there. The ball goes down, it goes through his legs. He didn't get down there, and the rest is World Series history.
Well, it actually went over his glove. If you watch it, he has this stupid, flat, flimsy glove. And he said he's like, I want gold gloves with this glove, and he played with it. I mean, this is a guy, when he was healthy, he was a borderline Hall of Famer. When he was healthy, he won a couple batting titles. He won some Golden Gloves, but he was hobbled.
Yes,
and he shouldn't have been in the game.
Right.
And was it Girardi?
Calvin Girardi. Yep.
Girardi wasn't covering.
No.
So it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, the ball went right over first base. I mean, he didn't. Buckner didn't have to move. It wasn't like he didn't get to the ball. The ball. The ball came to him.
Yeah. No. And if you watch the play, he flattens out his glove, and it just kind of bounces over. It takes a kind of not a weird hop, but it wasn't a hard hop. Mm-hmm. And one of the faster players hit the ball from the left side, but all he has to do is block it, and the run doesn't score. It holds him at third, the second run.
Right.
And they lose the game.
Yep.
So, and
sorry,
and
we don't have a lot of them. We got to enjoy the two we have.
But is that your moment?
That is.
Okay.
That is, because I had been to that was game 5. I think I was at game 4 because a friend of mine was getting married. Mm-hmm. I was his best man, and as a gift to me, he took me to the World Series. He also took me to an All-Star game because for a long time he was working in media buying for sports. Mm-hmm. So he would do the media buying for commercials and things like that. So I was privileged enough to go with my friend Ira to the All-Star game, the first All-Star game in Chicago under the lights.
Okay.
They got the All-Star.
The Cubs?
They got
Wrigley?
Yeah, Wrigley.
Okay.
They got the game when they had the lights on for the first time, and that was a hoot, man. Mm-hmm. That was a hoot. You got Harry Carey. The whole thing was fabulous. That was exciting. That was really exciting.
Wrigley's still our favorite, and we only got about 2 minutes left. Is there any World Series that you really want to tell a story on? I don't think we can talk about World Series without talking about the man with the most rings, Yogi. So I don't know if you've watched the documentary about Yogi.
I have not.
You need to watch it. Yogi is a character in so many ways.
Oh my goodness.
He took the Mets to the 72 World Series, 73 World Series. He was the head coach of the Mets.
73
when they lost to the A's. They beat the Reds. That's when Harrelson and Pete Rose got in a fight. I remember that fight in the playoffs.
Picking
So
on,
see, that's
picking on
one
little buddy.
Yeah.
He passed away just recently. as
Buddy
well.
was a scrapper.
Oh, yeah, but he was a little guy.
No, he wasn't that small. He was like 5'10".
Yeah, but he weighed $125.
No, he was a scrapper. That's like saying picking on Billy Martin.
Well, I wouldn't do that.
Billy Martin.
He'd kill you.
Billy Martin, was going after
was
Reggie
tough.
Jackson,
Fuck
and
yeah.
he was 20 years older than him.
Yep.
So I mean,
Yeah,
there's certain guys that they like to scrap. Billy
Right.
Martin be one of them.
Absolutely.
So but I mean, so there's certain people that we have to talk. And Yogi Berra, I don't know if you know this, but Yogi purposely held out on signing his first contract because the guy across the street had just signed, and he wanted to make sure he signed higher than the guy across the street.
Okay.
You know who lived across the
I have a
street?
fantastic idea.
Joe Garagiola. All right.
Okay.
Okay, Joe Garagiola was the catcher on Yogi's team. Yogi didn't catch until he got to professional baseball. He wasn't a catcher. All right. And, he ended up playing a lot of left field and some of the other things. Yogi is one of the few people that have won 3 MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a team that just dominated, but he was never considered the superstar of that team, even though he won 3 MVPs. When you talk about greats, here's a guy, they talk about greats and they say, oh, Michael Jordan's the greatest because he won 6 championships and LeBron only has 4. Or Kobe only has 5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that counts, then you should count Russell as being the greatest.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
And if you count that as being it for baseball, then you count Yogi into the greatest.
Absolutely.
But he's not even considered the greatest catcher in any conversation.
But you got to do the whole picture. Everything he's brought to the. I mean, what did he bring to the game? You can't just do
He
his
was a
stats. You
beautiful
can't do it on his
character.
Absolutely.
He was a beautiful character. And the funny thing is Garagiola, who ended up having a very good sportscaster career.
Absolutely.
A horrible baseball career.
Yeah,
But Garagiola was considered the best catcher
at the time
in that era.
Yeah.
And Yogi purposely waited to sign with the Yankees.
More than
Garagiola.
Campanella and those guys.
Campanella came along a little bit later.
Okay.
So he came along. Campanella came along in '48. So, but it was they were a little ahead of him, and the color barrier hadn't quite been broken. Hadn't quite been broken.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to pay Campanella what they paid Yogi.
No.
Being a white man and a black man at that time.
No.
Even though Campanella is also one that won 3 MVPs as a catcher.
Mm-hmm. Which is not easy to do.
I think they're the only 2 that won 3 as a catcher. Bench won 2 as a catcher. So, all right.
Not easy
and
to
they
do.
talk about Piazza being the best catcher. He's not in the conversation.
Yeah.
You know how many MVPs he won?
0.
Exactly.
Yeah. You get rookie of the year for the Dodgers when they were just printing rookies of the year of the Dodgers.
Well, and that's part of it too. I mean,
Dodgers they would just rattle out the next rookie of the year.
They gave it to Nomo over Chipper that year.
Yeah, well.
Because he was the Dodger.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
All right, great conversation. We could talk about baseball and
All
World
day
Series
long.
forever. I want to say thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to all of you guys out there hanging in with us, even though we came on a little bit early. Please hit that share button. If you didn't watch us live, hopefully you catch us later. But this is, I almost said Uncommon Ground. This is Bollocks, Talks, and Tangents, and we'll see you next week.
Be safe trick-or-treating, please.